So, who fancies a little chat about José Mourinho? Everybody's talking about him once again. He's linked to the Manchester United job. This time, there's sources, there's claims, it's all come from Spain. So we've had a little look at what's actually going on, and this is what we've been able to work out so far. So this all started with an article that was actually about Zinedine Zidane in Spanish paper El Pas. And what they said is that originally, Madrid didn't actually want Zidane, they're not really confident with him, and they wanted Mourinho to return. And the advisors at Real Madrid working for Perez tried to get Mourinho back. They spoke to Jorge Mendes and all his representatives. And in January, what they were told was, no, you can't get him. He's off to Manchester United. So that was Article 1. Article 2 followed the same sort of structure and maybe suggested that Madrid now felt aggrieved and that they thought Mourinho had been using Real Madrid as leverage to get Manchester United to act quickly and that there are pre-contracts in place. And what they say is that if Mourinho isn't signed properly as Manchester United manager on May the 1st, they have to pay £5 million in compensation for telling him he's going to have the job. And then additionally, if he's not in the job by the 1st of May, they're paying him £10 million in compensation for wasting his time and having this contract in place. It would be sensational, to say the least, that if this contract exists, that he wasn't then appointed manager. The reason May seems to be important is because that's when a lot of final transfers are done. If there are players that know they're going to be moving before the Euros, this is when this kind of stuff is being sorted out. A lot of players will know where they're going. It gives Mourinho a chance to get his hand in there and try and get a few players before everybody's moved around. Now, is this possible? Well, in theory, it's football, anything's possible. But what's very interesting is that both of these articles come from the same journalist, a guy called Diego Torres, who does not get on well with the Mourinho camp because he wrote a book about Mourinho. It was very critical, and it was also the source of that story that said Mourinho cried when David Moyes was given the Manchester United job in the first place. So do we trust his relationship with Mourinho and the things he would say? Well, it's sketchy because of that history. Has he got any reason to make it up? I have no idea. Doesn't necessarily stop journalists, so sometimes does it? They write all sorts of things. But there's a lot going on, and Mourinho says he wants to be back, and he will be at a club by the end of sort of next summer or this summer. So it seems so possible, given the state of Manchester United right now, how badly Van Gaal is doing, especially by comparison to David Moyes, who the club were happy to get rid of. Van Gaal's only gone backwards since last season, really. There was signs of progression, and it'd been so small and sort of in between. There was that goal at St Mary's where it was like 40 odd passes, and then Mata scored, and that was just brilliant. And that's obviously what Van Gaal wants all the time, but it just hasn't happened. It's happened in glimmers, so you've got to think they're going to get rid of him. Keeping him for a year that everybody knows he's going to leave at the end of just seems suicidal. So then you look at the managers that you know are available. Mourinho is one of them, and you know that Mourinho wants to go to a big club where he hasn't been. He's not going to go to Barcelona. He can't go back to Real Madrid, so that rules out Spain. Ancelotti's going to Bayern Munich, so that rules out Germany. So where's left? And Manchester United, it just seems so likely that this is what's going to happen. So it is very possible, I would say. But I'd love to know what you think. If you can get it in the comments below. Do you think this is all? It's just maybe you think it's an easy story because Mourinho is available. United probably need a new manager, and it's just like, well, you just take an A and B and saying, well, that's it. Or is there more in this? Because we're not really sure. Another part of these Diego Torres stories is that he claims they've got confirmation from Jorge Mendes' agency. They say that they've got sources within the agency that have let slip, yeah, this is definitely happening. Now, does anybody think that's possible? Because I think there's no way anybody inside that agency is going, yeah, look, we're not really supposed to talk about this Diego Torres of the newspaper, but actually, yeah, Mourinho's sorted. We did the deal for him. It's all good. These are the details. It seems really unlikely somebody in that job, because if you get caught, you've lost your job, would want to release that kind of information. And that then makes you wonder about the rest of the article, because if you don't trust that bit, or you don't trust this bit, then can you trust the rest of it? Because it's all very much linked. But, I mean, who comes out well of this? Not necessarily anybody. Jorge Mendes, if he's actually secured this deal. Who comes out badly? Maybe Zidane, because it sounds like nobody wants him at Real Madrid. Like every other manager they've ever had, he is on thin ice, apparently. So let us know what you think. Do you think this is going to happen? Do you think we'll see it done soon? I mean, what do you reckon? Champions League looks gone, doesn't it? That's when they got rid of David Moyes, when that was no longer mathematically possible. Is he going to come back again? I have no idea, but it'd be great to get your opinions. Get in the comments below and subscribe to Full Time Devils. We're nearly at 250,000. Isn't that crazy?
The derby has got the potential to put a bit of a smile on our faces going into the final period of the season.